Okay. I'll just go through these. So this is 6i over 1 minus I. You multiply by the conjugate. That's going to be 1 plus I and 1 plus I. And anytime I have a binomial, I like to put it in parentheses. So for the top, this is pretty easy. You just do distributive property. So when I do distributive property, that's going to be 6i plus 6i squared. The denominator is a little bit tricky because we need to do a box, or you can do FOIL. I'm just kind of emphasizing the box right now. So 1 minus I and 1 plus I. 1 times 1 is 1. And we have 1i here. Then we have negative 1i here. And we have negative, now there are 1's in front of here, so you can put this 1 here if you get a little confused. It's going to be negative 1i squared. One thing that you notice is that this diagonal, you can combine the terms. This actually combines to be 0. So I just wanted to eliminate a step. So this is going to be 1 minus 1i squared, or just I squared. From here, I replace all of my I squareds with negative 1. Okay, so this is going to be 6i plus 6 over 1 plus 1, which is going to be 6i plus 6 over 2. Okay, so you can go into Desmos, you can do your GCD. It's going to be 6, 6, and 2, just in case you don't know. 6, comma, 6, comma, 2, and of course the greatest common factor is 2. Again, in order to find that, you go into functions and GCD. So functions and GCD. Okay. So I take all of those and I divide each part by 2. So you can divide this by 2, this by 2, and this by 2. So what I end up with is 3i plus 3 over 1, which I can write as 3i plus 3, but we always want to have this first, so it's going to be 3 plus 3i. That's proper notation. Okay, number 2, 4 plus 10i over 3 plus I, multiply by the conjugate, and I make sure I put parentheses, 3 minus I, 3 minus I. Anytime I have a binomial, I put parentheses around it. Now I'm going to have to do 2 boxes. I have the box for this one. We're going to do 3 plus I times 3 minus I. And then I also have another box for this one here, which is going to be 4 plus 10i, 3 minus 1i. I'm going to put 1's in front of here because it was a little bit less confusing for my students last year. So 3 times 3 is 9. Let me just, 3 times 3 is 9, so these ones are going to be in the pink. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3i. That's going to be 3i. Negative 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. I times I is I squared. Okay, so that's my first one. My second box is going to be in the purple. This is 12. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4i. 10 times 3 is 30i. 10 times negative 1 is negative 10i squared. Okay, so now I go to, all right, for this one I can combine these terms. This is equal to 0. This one I can combine these terms. This is going to be 26i, and that just kind of avoids a step. So in my denominator, I'm left with the 9 minus 1i squared. In the numerator, I have a 12 plus 26i minus 10i squared. Okay. My next step is to turn all my I squareds into negative 1. Okay, so I end up with, I'm just going to come back down here, 12 plus 26i plus 10 over 9 plus 1. I can combine my like terms. It's going to be 10 plus 12 is 22 plus 26i over 10. I look at my three numbers. I'm going to do my greatest common denominator of my three numbers, which is 22, 26, and 10. If you put that in Desmos, so under GCD, under functions, the GCD is actually going to be equal to 2. They're all divisible by 2. So I take each part and I divide each part by 2. So my answer is going to be 11 plus 13i over 5. Okay. So the next one, 5 minus 8i over negative 1 minus 4i, multiply by the conjugate, which is negative 1 plus 4i, negative 1 plus 4i. Okay, I have to do two boxes. I have my denominator box, which is going to be the negative 1 minus 4i and negative 1 plus 4i. I'll just fill in that box right here. Negative 4i, positive 4i, negative 16i squared. So this right here, this adds to be 0 as it should. So I know my denominator, I'm going to have a 1 minus 16i squared. Okay. For the one here, it's going to be negative 1, 4i, and 5 minus 8i. It's going to be negative 5, negative 1 times 8, a positive 8i. 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 8 is negative 32. I times I is I squared. I can combine these like terms. This is going to be 28i. Okay, those like terms, 28i. So up in the numerator, it's going to be negative 5 plus 28i minus 32i squared. Okay, so I go through, I change all of my I squareds to negative 1. So this is going to be negative 5 plus 28i minus 32 times negative 1 over 1 minus 16 times negative 1. So we have negative 5 plus 28i plus 32 over 1 plus 16. Okay, I add across. Negative 5 plus 32 is going to be 27 plus 28i all over 17. Now I look just to make sure. I go to GCD and I put in 27, 17, and 28. Okay, 27, 17, 28. So again, go to functions, GCD, you have 27, 28, and 17, and the only greatest common factor is 1, so this is your final answer, 27 plus 28i over 17. Last one, I promise. 9 plus 4i over negative 9 plus 6i. Okay, I put these in parentheses, especially since they're binomials. So this is going to be negative 9 minus 6i. All you do is change that middle. Negative 9 minus 6i. Okay, and so I do a box. Okay, negative 9, 6i, negative 9 minus 6i. Negative 9 times negative 9 is going to be positive 81. Negative 9 times 6 is negative 54. Negative 9 times negative 6 is positive 54i. Negative 6 times 6 is negative 36. I times I is I squared. So I know my denominator, of course these add to be 0 because I did it right, it's going to be 81 minus 36 I squared. Now I do my numerator box. And I know that these are work, but you can do this. 9 4i negative 9 minus 6i. 9 times negative 9 is negative 81. 9 times negative 6 is negative 54i. 4 times 9 is negative 36i. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24i squared. I can combine my like terms here. 54 and 36 is, I believe, 90i. So it's going to be negative 90i. So it's going to be negative 81 minus 90i minus 24i squared. I then take my I squareds and I make them into their negative 1. Negative 81 minus 90i minus 24 times negative 1 over 81 minus 36 times negative 1. So 81 minus 90i plus 24 over 81 plus 36. So negative 81, check that one, that one's 1. Negative 81 plus 24 is going to be negative 57. Okay. Minus 90i over 81 plus 36 is 117. Okay, so now you find the greatest common factor of 57, don't use the negatives, 90, and 117. So 57, 90, and 117. And the answer is 3. So the greatest common factor is 3. So my last step is I'm just going to divide each part by 3. This by 3, this by 3, and this by 3. So it's going to be negative 19 minus 30i over 39. Let me erase a few of these little marks. Ooh. Some of these little stray marks are a little confusing. And 39. And that's your final answer.